Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining in today. My name is Jackie Wilson, and today's topic is going to be domestic violence and why do survivors stay in these kinds of relationships? Why do your loved ones continue to stay in a relationship that you see as unhealthy? And maybe they even see it as unhealthy, and you wonder, why do these individuals stay in these types of relationships? If you're anything like how I used to be, you're probably judging them and saying, hey, you shouldn't be in that kind of relationship. You're stupid, being very judgmental. You're saying probably some negative things to your family members because they're in these kinds of relationships. Well, today I want to hopefully shed some light on why individuals stay in these kinds of relationships. So don't leave before you watch the rest of this video, okay? Just kind of hear me out and let me share this information with you, okay? So first, I want to start off with a quote by Dr. Maya Angelou, and it says, when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. Now, I want you to hold on to that quote until the end of the video, because I'm going to share some information that's going to put all the pieces together, okay? So now let me take you back to 1984. I saw this video, or should I say this movie, back in 1984. At this particular time, I was about in 11th grade. So I had to have been maybe 17 years old in 11th grade at the time when this movie came out. It was back in 1984. Now, the title of this movie is called The Burning Bed. The reason I was able to watch the movie at that time is because my mom wanted to see the movie too, okay? She was really monitoring the types of movies that I watch, because your eyes, your ears, are gates into your soul. So at any rate, she allowed me to watch the movie. We watched it together. And it was because Farrah Fawcett was starring in this movie, and we both liked her at the time. So we watched the movie and was very, very emotionally connected to that movie. The movie is about a woman with children, that she actually married a guy and then they had a family, and he became an abusive person to her. Now, he wasn't in the beginning of the relationship. He was very nice, very kind, very loving, and then he started to change. As we know in the domestic violence world, that is, the person sent their representative, which is the nice, kind, loving, caring person, and then afterwards, the real person shows up, okay? So during this time of watching this movie, I was sitting back asking myself, well, why would she stay in that kind of a relationship? And my mom and I are having this conversation, and we're both kind of saying the same things. It's like, well, if he's being abusive to her, why don't she just leave? And so this thought kind of rang in my mind years and years and years later. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I'm a survivor of domestic violence. Mine wasn't physical, it wasn't verbal, it wasn't sexual, and it wasn't dictating in a way of controlling, you can't do this, you can't do that. Mine was more underhanded. Mine was more subtle type of abuse that I went through, that I sustained, which was emotional, mental, psychological, financial abuse, spiritual abuse. So it was a lot of the other forms of abuse that most people don't even know exist, right? So I found it out the hard way because I experienced it. And then I found out later when I was in college exactly what it is that I had actually, experienced in that marriage. So let's get back to the movie. I just wanted to share that information with you. So back in the movie, I'm asking my mom that question, why don't she just leave, right? There was opportunities when he went off to work that she could have just left. She could have taken the kids. She could have went to a family member's house. And I'm just questioning, like, why didn't she leave? So the reason that I brought this up is because that is the question that rings in millions of people's minds. When they see that someone is in an abusive relationship, when they see it on TV, when they read an article online, when they hear someone talk about a person in an abusive relationship and how this person has been physically abusive to them, and they're constantly saying, well, the magic question or the $1,000,000 question is, why don't that person just leave? Well, I'm here to tell you it's not that easy to just leave an abusive relationship. You may seem like it may seem like it to you because you're not in that kind of a relationship. So it's easy to say what you would or what you wouldn't do if you were in that relationship, right? If that was you. If that was me, I would do this, this, and this. I've heard a lot of people say that. But you know what? In reality, you really don't know what you would do if you were in that kind of a relationship. So now let me just share this with you. When you're in an abusive relationship, it doesn't start off majority of the time, unless you're dealing with someone that is considered a psychopath. It doesn't start off with that person being physically abusive to you. That person isn't verbally abusive to you. That person isn't sexually abusive to you. Manipulative. That person isn't doing that in the beginning. That individual that you're meeting is the representative of that person, okay? That is the fake person that you're dating. That is the person that wants to woo you. That's the person that wants to gain your love, your trust, your loyalty. That person was sent there in the beginning to manipulate your mind, manipulate your heart, to consume you into a relationship, okay? You were not aware that you were being manipulated. You were not aware that you were being taken advantage of. You were not aware that this person had a hidden agenda, okay? Whether it be male or female. You were not aware of that in the beginning because you were so caught up and raptured in the love that you and this person shared, the chemistry that you and this individual had, the connection that you and this individual had, the communication, the chemistry, being able to talk to this person, hang out with this individual. You started to grow and really like this individual. You eventually started to love this person, right? That you were in this relationship with. So in the beginning, you're sharing information. You're talking about, what has happened to you in your past relationships. Maybe you've even shared what happened to you in your young years as a child, how you grew up, where you grew up, different things. You're sharing personal information with this person that you feel you have a chance at a history with or a future with, right? You're sharing about your history with this individual in hopes that you're going to build a relationship with this person. You're creating new memories right now so that you guys can have a history, right? But more of a future together. So you're not aware, as I said before, that this person has a hidden agenda. We're never aware of that in the beginning. But the longer we stay in those kinds of relationships, then there's different signs that show up, right? And when those signs show up, we're thinking, okay, well, maybe it's because the person's going through something. Maybe they're dealing with depression, maybe a sick individual in their family, maybe something's going on their job. Maybe the two of you are kind of bumping heads in certain situations and you're like, okay, well, maybe we need to just sit down and try to work this out, okay? You're looking at maybe the person may have come down and this person is ill. So they're dealing with health issues, right? So it's different factors that play into in the beginning of when those red flags start to show up. And when those red flags start to show up, majority of the time, we overlook them because of life crisis, because of life situations that are happening. The person may have lost a job or, dealing with, like I said, a sick family member or death in the family, an illness in the family. So they're dealing with a lot of different outside forces that are interfering in your relationship. But instead of you looking at it as an interference, you're looking at it as, okay, it's something that we need to deal with. I'm dealing with something. He's dealing with something. She's dealing with something, whatever the dynamics of your relationship. And so maybe the person may have started drinking. Maybe the person may have started using drugs. Maybe the person is smoking heavy. So you're looking at all of these different factors in the beginning of this relationship. And so as time goes on, that's when this representative starts coming out and you're noticing all of these different changes, right? You're not necessarily looking at those as red flags. You're just looking at that as, wow, he's changing. He seems different. She's acting different. Why? What's going on? And then you start thinking about all the other outside factors that I mentioned, okay? So as time goes on, when this person becomes physically physically abusive to you or verbally abusive to you, then in your mind, you're thinking, I know this person still loves me because we've been together X amount of time. Maybe he's just going through something. She's dealing with something. You got those outside forces again, right? That remind you that this is why that person is acting the way that they're acting. You're already heavily vested into this relationship because now you love this person and you want the relationship to work. You guys have promised about a future together, maybe getting married, maybe having kids together, right? Getting into business together. So you have all of these thoughts in your mind about the plans that you and this person has talked about what you're going to do. Or maybe by this time, you guys may have already been engaged. Maybe you're married at this time and you're thinking, well, wow, we're invested. We have so much time together. So the person is going through something. I know that's what it is. It's just he's dealing with something. She's dealing with something. Maybe I'm dealing with something. So I can't really blame them because I'm having some issues too, right? So we're just going to continue to keep going on and you're going to keep staying in hope and praying that this person is going to change back to the way he or she was before. So you're being roped into this relationship. The longer you stay in it, the longer you overlook all of these different signs that have happened. This is what's keeping individuals in these kinds of relationships. If the person has been physical with them, they're fearful of that individual because they know what that person is capable of doing. If that person has been physical with them and they threaten to harm the children, they threaten to harm other family members, that individual is going to be more likely to stay in that relationship because they're feeling if they leave out of that relationship, the family member is going to get hurt, the children are going to get hurt. So and even the dogs, because some relationships don't have children, but they have pets, and those pets are like children. So they will even threaten to harm the children. They will even threaten to harm themselves. So if you're in this relationship and you really love this person and you want the relationship to work, when this individual starts saying that they're going to harm themselves, they're going to harm children, they're going to harm pets, they're going to harm other family members, you're afraid that this person could possibly do that because you've already seen the wrath of that individual. They've already been physical with you. And so you're fearful of your life, their life, and the children's life, and the other family members, right? And even the pets. So this is something that's going to keep that individual in that relationship. These are some of the factors. The fact that if that person leaves and they're not working, that's financial abuse that person's going to be in dealing with, financial hardship that person's going to deal with. So they're going to be more likely to stay in that relationship because of that. 74% of the individuals that have left from abusive relationships have been fearful because when they have left and didn't have anything but the clothes on their back, and they've been fearful about how they're going to survive after that. If they have been working, that individual has been controlling their money, then they're going to be fearful that their money is going to be used even when they leave if they're not able to get that part changed at their job right away. So there's the financial factor of that. There's the fact that someone can be hurt. There's the fact that the children could be taken away from them as a result of them actually leaving from that relationship. If that person has power, if that person, has first responder type job, police officer, fire department, if they're in the law, if they're, have that type of a professional type of job, then they're going to feel like when they leave, then they're going to lose the children because of the position and the profession that person has. And they may not have that kind of profession. If it's someone even in the medical field, right? Someone with some power, that individual is going to feel like when I leave, they're going to take everything from me. So these are like the main reasons why individuals stay in these kinds of relationships. So I would highly suggest that you stop sharing that information with them by telling them to leave, and offer to help if they're ready to leave. How can I help you? How can I assist you in this situation that you're in? Look some information up online to try to find out how can you help an individual get out of these kind of relationships. Call a helpline service and ask them, how can I help this individual, this loved one of mine, get out of this kind of relationship? There's other things that you can do that can be beneficial for you, for your knowledge wise, and also for your loved one that's in this kind of a relationship, okay? There's so many things that you can do. So the first thing I'm going to say is don't be judgmental. Don't look down on this individual and tell them what they're doing is stupid. Say negative things to this person about this relationship that they're in, because I can tell you 100% that's going to make that individual to withdraw from talking to you, because they've already been told from their abuser that no one's going to believe them, that they're stupid, saying all of these negative words to them. So to hear those negative words from you is not going to be helpful. So the reason that I shared that with you in the beginning about that quote is because there are signs that you can see that a person is an abusive person, a person that is a narcissistic person. So when you start to see someone's bad behavior, we'll just put it at bad behavior, something that you deem is like, wow, I can't believe he did that. I can't believe she said that. Why are they acting this way? When you start questioning the person that's in your life with these type of questions, then those are red flags for you to look at and say, something isn't right with this individual. If they're going off on somebody, if they're cursing someone out, if they have bad road rage or any kind of road rage, because road rage period is bad. If you see them snapping at the hostess when you're out at a restaurant, or, if they're going off on somebody on the phone and there's no absolute reason for them to do that, but you see their sporadic behavior, you see their behavior going up and down, where 1 minute they're nice, next minute they're not. Those are all signs that that particular person has anger management issue, is an impatient person, is someone that is not a good person to be in a relationship with. So hopefully I've shared some great information with you guys, and I want you to continue to watch my channel so that way you can get more information. We're going to talk a little bit further about what signs to look for in a domestic violence relationship, what you can look for, and how when you see these signs, how to get out of this type of situation in a relationship, how to notice these things in the very beginning. We're going to talk more about those as time goes on, okay? So with that being said, thank you guys for joining in today, and I hope that something that I shared with you today has been very, very beneficial, and it will help you along your journey as you find out how to deal with an abusive relationship, how to get out of abusive relationship, how to spot an abusive relationship, how to get help in an abusive relationship, and what are the resources that are out there. I'm going to share all this information as time goes on in the next videos that you're going to watch. I'm going to share more information. So with that being said, you guys have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you guys when you got it on the next video. Please, by all means, subscribe to the channel as well, and have a good night. Bye-bye.